Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of the Darksliders podcast with Doug and Brad.
Hi.
I'd like to, first of all, apologize for those of you who listened to episode 9. We mentioned that we were going to do a short this week, and we were going to start doing that. That'll probably actually happen this week. We ended up getting busy with
Life.
actual life stuff instead of talking about video games on the internet, so that kind of got in the way of that. But
Mhm.
hopefully there should be something this week. Probably going back to our Mortal Kombat X discussion from last week, or maybe something from this week. But hopefully that'll be out sometime this week. But again, our apologies for not putting that up. So
Our apologies. Brad's apologies mostly.
yeah, Doug doesn't care. Doug hates all of you. All right. So
Hey.
anyway, with that, speaking of things that inspire hate, Doug, you finished Bloodborne and actually made
Yeah.
it all the way through.
Yeah.
All right, so go ahead. I know this is, as you've been telling me over and over again, the greatest game that has ever existed in the history of the world. So tell us why.
No, I did redact that. Time Splitters 2 is the greatest game in history ever created.
That I can agree with.
So yeah, I finished Bloodborne, which is weird because I didn't actually plan on finishing Bloodborne ever. I thought I'd be like Dark Souls and I just get stuck and then just get pissed off and then just never play it again.
Yeah, that
Uh,
normal RPG playing that I think both of us do.
yeah. Oh yeah, that's so weird. This is like the first man, this might be like one of the first JRPGs I've actually finished. This is well, I guess it's not a traditional JRPG. Um, yeah, I think just the action combat sort of held me all the way through. Yeah, I finished this game. I'm going to talk a little, very little spoilery stuff. If you don't want to hear about like creature designs near the end of the game, I'm going to try to keep it as spoiler free as possible because there's still a lot of surprises in the game. Even if you do listen to a few of this stuff, there's going to be a lot of surprises. So you can skip ahead to 14 minutes and 7 seconds.
I'm going to be really impressed if you can actually manage to do that.
We'll see. We'll see. So skip ahead to whatever I might have just said before that. If
Otherwise,
you don't
just
want...
pause it and come back in a little bit.
um, but yeah, so first things first, I beat this game. I didn't plan on beating this game, and the final boss sort of just like snuck up on me. Like I was just kind of playing along, and I got to a boss, and I was like, okay, I'll beat this boss. And I spent whatever normal times for beating a boss, like maybe 20 minutes, dying a whole bunch of times. And I was like, man, this boss is a lot harder than the other ones. and then the credits rolled after I beat him. I mean, there's obviously like a cutscene that I'm not going to talk about, and I was like, oh shit, I beat Bloodborne. I didn't plan on beating Bloodborne today. I didn't know. There's not a whole lot of lead up to the final boss. It just sort of there, and then it just kind of happens. So that I didn't like too much. Oh, this is just a good warning. This is not spoilery, but after you beat the final boss, you immediately get kicked to New Game Plus, and you can't explore any areas you might have missed, which actually really, really soured my end game experience. It
That's
wasn't
really
like, oh,
terrible.
yeah, it wasn't like, oh my god, I beat Bloodborne. I was like, oh shit, I missed so much stuff. I was gonna go back and do
Damn
that.
it! I didn't mean to. I didn't want to beat this.
No. And then I woke up back in the I don't know, whatever the first part is where you're like laying on the gurney, and I was like, oh shit. I
That seems
didn't know.
really weird to me. Like that's something that I feel like most games have just completely done away with. I mean, most of the time you get that warning screen, like, I mean, it completely removes you from the experience. But like,
Yeah.
it's awesome because it'll just be like, hey, once you go past this, you're done. So you might want to turn around and do something before you do this.
Yeah, and I know Bloodborne's like, oh, it's Bloodborne. It's hardcore. It doesn't hold your hand, but like really there really is not a lot of lead up to the final boss. And I had no idea this character was the final boss, or this monster was the final boss, and I beat it. I was like, oh shit, no. But now I actually do want to kind of go back because like I actually beat this whole game blind, which means I didn't look up anything online. I think I asked like maybe one or two questions online and like Googled very, very slight, like really, really small stuff. But
Hmm.
I wanted this game to be like, as blind as possible. And that was honestly the best way to play this game. Dark Souls, when I played it, Dark Souls, like I said this in the last podcast, there's a lot of like weird obtuse stuff that isn't really well explained. But Bloodborne, I never really felt stuck. I kind of had an idea like where I needed to go next. I didn't know how to get there, but I had a general idea of where to go. And basically how you know where to go is that if you ran past an area, you probably missed something. Because what happens, like, I'd run past an area because they're just like some high level enemies. Like, I'm not going to fight them. I'll just run past this area. And then you get to a dead end and you're like, shit, there's probably those high level enemies because there's probably another path or something back there. And I really, really like that. The game, like, really expects you to sort of explore really, really hard. Sometimes there could be like a really small cave off to the side that doesn't have like a whole lot of indications. Like, that's where you need to go. And then that leads you to a secret castle or something like that. Actually, the one thing I really, really want to talk about more than anything with this game, and like the thing that completely made this experience for me, was the enemies. This game, I would say, repeats enemies once, maybe twice. So like literally every new area you went to had a whole new set of enemies. And so like you go, so I don't know. This is kind of a spoiler for a later area, but I was just walking along, and all of a sudden they have this version. I guess whatever the Bloodborne version is of The Fly,
The Fly.
and they just kind of the movie The Fly, right?
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
that was like a reference to something way different. But okay.
No, like the movie The Fly. And these guys just come out of effing nowhere. I wasn't expecting them because I was like in a forest area before, and suddenly I come across these fly-headed guys who grab me, drive me insane, and then I just die. And I was like, holy shit. But it was so cool because like every area has a brand new enemy that's really surprising, whatever their attacks are. And sometimes if they repeat an enemy, they'll have a new attack that you're just not expecting. Like suddenly they're not way stronger, but suddenly like, wait, this guy's taking a few more hits, and then they turn around or something, and suddenly they look vastly different than what you're expecting. They do this with a few enemies near the end that I don't want to spoil. What's another thing I was talking about? This game is a horror game. This game is a horror, really effing scary. I don't even like horror games that much. They scare me. Horror games scare the crap out of me. And I didn't expect this game to be a horror game. I feel like reviews didn't really mention that. And the first, I don't know, third, maybe first half of the game isn't really a horror game. It's kind of macabre, I would say. Like when you first go into Yarnum, I think is the name of the city. There's kind of like those sort of like zombified guys. There's some knights. There's some dogs. There's some cool. They're kind of cool looking creatures. They're not like horrifying looking creatures. But there's a very obvious point in the game where suddenly things just go south, and you're like, this might just be the horror section of the game. It's gonna let up, and the game just never lets up. It only gets more and more horrifying and scary as you go along, and that has nothing to do with like the difficulty or anything like that. Just the farther you get into it, it turns like really, really Lovecraftian, like Cthulhu mythos and things like that. Really, really hardcore. A lot of stuff with like dealing with madness, getting lost in dreams, and it made a really, really hard turn that I wasn't expecting at all. And I was just kind of hoping that like, oh man, I hope eventually this lets up because this is just getting freaky. And it doesn't. It just gets more and more horrifying the deeper you get into it. And like there's an area that I got to near the end when I just read the title of the area, I was like, oh shit, this isn't gonna be good. And it wasn't. It was fucking horrifying the entire time I was in that area. And God.
See, that sounds really cool. I like that.
No, it is cool. Like, yeah, it has like a huge tonal shift, and they make it, and they make it very clear that the game has made a tonal shift, which is kind of cool. Like, there's something that happens that I'm not going to describe what happens because I don't want to. Like I said, I don't want to spoil. I want people to find out for themselves, and then you kind of feel like, shit, I might have done something bad. Like, this might not have been a good thing that I'm doing. And kind of the idea that maybe what you're doing isn't a good thing just keeps carrying on. As you keep going, you're like, wait a second, am I making things worse? Am I like, and you never really know. There's a story there that I didn't really get at all, which is kind of frustrating. So like when I say like I feel like I was doing something bad, it's because I legitimately didn't know.
I killed this thing. I'm not sure why. Yeah. Was I supposed to?
Yeah, no, exactly. And you're like, was that thing even a bad thing? I don't even know.
It just wanted a hug. It wasn't trying to kill me.
Oh no. They're definitely out to get you. Yeah, but you're never really sure if you're in the right, or honestly what you're even doing. That was one thing I didn't like. I like how Bloodborne kind of expects you to sort of like learn as you go. But the story in this, I really did follow it for I'd say the first third of the game. But like literally every cutscene and every item I picked up suddenly had a different name attached to it. And I just got buried and lost in names. I had no idea what's going on.
Yeah, that was where I got to. I could not tell if somebody asked me to describe what I was doing in that game. I mean, I'm only to like the third boss still for like forever, and I couldn't tell you what I'm doing. I have an axe and I run around and I kill stuff, and it looks cool.
Yeah, and that never lets up. It never changes. You never really know what you're doing. You can read the item description. I've read item descriptions to sort of get like vague hints of what might have happened. But the thing I do like about it is that even if you really can't follow the story, you can sort of get an idea of what might have happened in the area, which is kind of cool. Like how they lay out dead body. Like in most games, I feel like they just have like a dead body. It's like, ooh, isn't that dead body scary? But in this one, like the dead bodies are like praying, or maybe this dead body is actually if like there's like an item off them. You'll read the item, you're like, oh wait, this is that character. This is that character that people were talking about before, even though it's just simply a dead body, and the item doesn't really do much except just say who that character is. Yeah, I guess I just kind of want to finish up real quick with saying, yeah, this is probably one of the best games I've ever played. Yeah, easily. It's definitely one of the best games I've ever played. I'm gonna probably replay it again once the DLC comes out. But like this game was the best game I ever played. I didn't even touch the Chalice dungeons, which is like these randomized side dungeons that you can do that are apparently fairly elaborate and have a lot of like content in them. And then I went back and actually looked at some walkthroughs and I realized, oh crap, I actually missed whole areas of the game that I didn't even know about. So I think the game, like, it kind of says, like, if you are going to replay it, there's going to be more stuff for you to find. You probably didn't see everything your first time through. Yeah, no, it's a, yeah, really, really good game. I don't know. I don't have anything else to say except, Brad, you should play this, and I know you're not going to.
I am not going to at all. Nope. Although, as you're talking about this, here's what I want.
Yeah.
And it will never happen, and I will never get this, and I will never finish this game. I want to be able to... I just want there to be an easy mode. Like,
oh God, no!
Do you remember, like, back in the day, like, if you typed in the right thing and you got God mode enabled? I want that for this game, because everything I see about it and everything I hear about it, I like. I just can't get over the stupid difficulty piece, and that just irritates me to no end, and I don't think I ever will.
Yeah.
But, like, everything looks so cool and everything is so unique that I want to type in my God mode code and just run through this game.
I can understand the want for that, and there are points of this game where I thought even I thought, like, as much as I love this game, I thought it was like, this part is just a little too hard. But I mean, that's the thing that makes those games those games. Like that one, that's what makes a Souls game Souls game, is that they're kind of hard. And but I'm saying, like, I think, but like we were talking before, like that adds the horror aspect. Like it's a survival horror game, and that's the survival aspect of it.
But the survival's too hard.
It is a little too hard. There's a few times I was like, oh, come on. Although I never really felt that the game was cheating me. I never really, like, even like games that aren't as hard, sometimes I feel like, oh crap, that enemy teleported out of nowhere. That's stupid.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I never really felt that with this game. I kind of felt like, you know what, I just wasn't careful enough that time.
Yeah, I should have thought through that. And again, I understand the reason people like this, and I understand how that adds to it, and I understand this is a very specific game for a very specific set of people, but it looks so freaking cool, and everything about it is so interesting to me, but I hate playing it.
I think that if you actually sat down and tried to get back into it, you could get back into it. Yeah, I think that's what you just need to do. You just need to get back into it, and then. But you actually need to put the disc in your PS4.
Get it out of the basement. Yeah. All right. Well, you were spending all your time doing that. We talked about this game a little bit last week. Yep. Wolfenstein for the PS4. So this is a really cool game.
Yeah, I'm glad you actually got to play this
game. So I didn't have a whole lot of time this week. Like we mentioned earlier, it was kind of a busy week. But I'm maybe 3 or 4 levels into this, and just everything about this game is really, really well done, like to a surprising fashion.
That's what that was kind of my impression of this game. Was like, it'll be okay, but I was like, damn, I didn't expect this to be good.
Yeah, I expected like, average typical shooter, like, just that kind of thing. But I mean, everything is like done to the point where you didn't need to try this hard for this. This is just like, this is the new Wolfenstein. You didn't need to put in all this effort. Like,
yeah.
I mean, just all the world building stuff in that game just was amazing. Like when you get to your eventually you join the Resistance, of course, which
Spoiler. I'm just kidding.
that's it's not a spoiler because it doesn't come out of anywhere. It's literally like at one point your guy just goes, you know what? I'll bet there's a Resistance. Let's find them.
Oh, yeah.
Like there's no like anything. Like literally, and I guess this is a little spoilery, but like you just basically you get to this point in the game and your character doesn't really know what's going on because some stuff's happened, and he just looks around and goes, "Oh man, there's Nazis. Where's the Resistance? We're gonna go join them."
Actually, it's really funny because that scene concludes with there actually being a Resistance. But I like to talk when like the old woman like doesn't think there's a Resistance. She's like, there is no Resistance. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like there's nobody left. I thought that was kind of cool.
I love that, and just like out of nowhere, he's just like literally like you just again there's like a time jump and your character doesn't really know what happens in between the time before and after to not spoil anything really, and that's his first thought when he wakes up is, oh yeah, I'll go join the Resistance. It has to be somewhere. There has to be one, of course. Yeah. And it's just like I wanted like some character like that old lady just to be like, no, there's not. Go back over here and do this all yourself. You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, the woman does think that though. In that talk, she does say that. I thought that was kind of cool. I was like, oh shit. Like you said, this game tries a lot harder than it had to. Like it didn't need a good story. It didn't need good characters.
It was just supposed to. I was going to run around and shoot Nazis for 10 hours or so and call it good. But and just going back to the world building piece. But anyway, when you get to like the hideout, there's news clippings from the past. The time jump, I don't remember. I think it's 14 years or something, 20 years, something like that. But there's news clippings from all around. And because it's like a revisionist history piece of all these things of how World War II could have ended, which, not a spoiler, but the Nazis won. But anyway, like, and it basically achieved their global domination piece. So you're like walking around, it's like, oh yeah, here's like 6 articles about how they conquered America. Here's 4 about how they conquered China. Here's what happened, like, when whatever actual event happened, and it's really cool how much time they put into building this cohesive idea of what this world is.
Yeah, I had actually heard that for a lot of those news clippings, they'd actually done a lot of research into what the Nazi plans were for those areas, and like that's what they described in that alternate history. So that there's like some historical context to like that fake alternate history is that they actually did look up Nazi plans, and a lot of the machinery and stuff in the games is based on like actual Nazi technology that was found after World War II, that like they had potential for in the future. I was like, damn, they did their research on this?
And I mean, and you mentioned it last time, even like the music and just everything in this game, it's so well done. And again, I was shocked because this is just kind of a game that kind of came out of nowhere. I was like, oh yeah, there's a new Wolfenstein, here you go. It's by a studio that this is their first game. I mean, nothing about this.
Is it seriously?
Yeah, they were a bunch of guys from I can't think of the name. I don't know if you could hear my snapping in the mic. That might be bad.
That's fine.
But anyway, the Chronicles of Riddick guys. Sunbreeze?
Oh, Starbreeze. Oh, they're Starbreeze?
Yeah, it's like the 7 or 8 guys from that, which after I read that, I was like, oh, okay. Because I was like, Machine Games, I've never heard of these guys before. It's those guys, it's their first game. So, I mean, first game from a studio, just kind of a game and, just kind of that dated type franchise where it's not super popular at this point, but just... Yeah,
I don't think Bethesda gave a shit what they did with the game. They're just like, we need a game, just do whatever, I don't care.
Yeah. The other thing I really like is this is an old school game. Like, you have health pickups, you have armor pickups, you might as well be playing Wolfenstein 3D the way this game is set up. Like, I love that because it's taking the source material and actually, like, updating it. Like, this feels like... If I was in 1995 or whenever Wolfenstein 3D was, and I were to picture what Wolfenstein would be in 15, 20 years, this is it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's true. I didn't think about that.
It's not, no, I don't ever have to go and, okay, I have to take cover to regenerate my health. It's like, oh, crap, where's the health pack? There's a health pack, grab that. Okay, keep going. And you can do the overcharge your health to, like, get up to, like, 200 health overall. Like...
I didn't think about that. This is Wolfenstein 3D done today.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned it last time, you can dual wield every weapon, so I can run around with 2 gigantic shotguns and one in each hand, and some way or other manage to reload them and shoot them at the same time. Like, it throws out all that realism crap that, like Call of Duty and Battlefield have, like, so ingrained into this, and it's just, here is an old school arcade style shooter.
Yeah, like you say, you throw out the realism, and I agree with you, like during the gameplay, but like during the story segments,
Oh,
like
yeah.
they make it real as possible. The one thing I was really surprised about that I want to ask your opinion on, this game has actual Nazis that you're
Yes, they
fighting,
do.
and it's not like cartoon Nazis. It's not like who Bugs Bunny fought in the cartoons. Like these are legit Nazis
Yeah.
who do really
Oh,
horrifying
yeah.
stuff. And I thought that was kind of ballsy. You're not up to that point, but there's a minor spoiler for maybe an hour in. Yeah, you go to a concentration camp, and it's a concentration camp.
Hmm.
Like, and I was just shocked by that. How do you feel about that? Like, just you're that they portray the Nazis as being Nazis and not like cartoonish.
Well, I mean, I think it adds to what this game is trying to be, and that's trying to. I almost compare this game, and in my mind, I was trying to think of another game that was like this, and the game that came to mind was Spec Ops: The Line. I don't know if you
Oh
played that.
yeah,
Where
yeah,
it's just got that, okay, yeah, it's this first-person shooter, yeah, it's fun, yeah, it's arcadey, but, like, the story is, like, really grounded in a lot of really realistic things. I mean, even in the early
Mhm.
stages when you first encounter the Nazis, like, they're not messing around with you at all. Like,
No, I told you that first
the
decision,
first
man.
decision, like, I mean, literally is, yeah, we're not going to get into that because it is kind of crazy when you get to it. You're like, seriously, this is where we're starting? But,
Yeah,
yeah, this is, it. Again, it brings up that feeling like Spec Ops Line did of like, okay, if this was actually going to happen, this would kind of be similar to where we're at with it. This makes sense in this world.
yeah, yeah. I just thought that was really ballsy of them to do that. Like
Yeah.
we're going to, but then like it makes me feel a lot better about shooting everybody.
Oh yeah, because like you guys are actually assholes. Like,
Yeah. I feel like in most games it's like, wow, we are the Nazis. Ha ha ha.
we are
But
going
those
to take
guys are
over
like,
the
these-
world. And,
Yeah.
yeah,
You
and
know,
now
these
it's
guys are like, yeah.
yeah, no, these are like legitimately like, oh, you're not gonna. Okay, well, we'll just cut off your face.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's like, like racism is a big part of this game too.
Yep.
Like yeah. And like you don't see any ethnic people in the streets until you get to like ghetto areas and stuff like that. I was like, wow, damn.
Yeah,
What the
Mhm.
hell?
yeah. The one thing I will say about this game that bothered me, and you mentioned a little bit last week in the visual style, is the first level
I told you.
is just bad.
I know.
Like, it's not good. Like, I got like halfway through it, and like something came up, and I was like, okay, this is boring me anyway. And I put it down for like a day or so, and it's like, oh, whatever, I'll get back to it later maybe. Because the first level just, it's, think back to 10 years ago when World War II shooters were like the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
what the first half hour of this game is, and it's, I mean, it's okay. It's what it is, but when you compare that to where the game gets to by the
Yeah.
end of that scene, it's like, man, that was not a good way to start this game.
No, the opening level is just straight bad. It's boring. It feels like an old Call of Duty game.
Yep.
I don't know if they're trying to make a point. Like this is what shooter. I mean, it could be some sort of commentary of like you were bored of the World War II shooter. Well, here's our game.
Yep.
But you don't do that for so long.
Yeah, I mean, 'cause that's I feel like if you shorten that first scene into maybe 10 minutes,
Yeah.
it could have been
Yeah.
much more powerful because it's like, clearly, this isn't great. This isn't the part of the
Yeah.
game anybody wants.
Yeah.
This is just kind of okay, this is how we get to where the good stuff starts.
That was. I mean, I'm a huge fan of like intro levels, and that just like
Yeah,
didn't do
no.
it. I really actually when I got it, I was like, man, this wasn't even worth $10.
I didn't
But then
quite
once-
go that bad, but
Yeah, but like when the '60s time jump happens, like wow, suddenly the game's good.
oh yeah, it's a completely different game. The first half hour of that game does not match up with, at least to the point that we're
Yeah,
at all.
I'm pretty far. Yeah,
But anyway, great game, great game. I mean, and you can
Mhm.
find it super cheap now. I would highly recommend that if you have any interest in shooters at all.
yeah. I still think it's at Target for $11 or whatever. If you guys want to grab it.
Yeah, definitely go do that.
Mhm.
So the other game you played this week
Mhm.
when you weren't finishing up Bloodborne was game. It just came out for PS4 this week, right?
Yeah, like I think I bought it like maybe day or second day it came out.
Yeah. So Shovel Knight, which has
Yeah.
been out for a couple systems for a while now, but just got.
PC. I think it was just it was PC. It was 3DS and Wii U.
Yeah, I think so. I think that makes. Yeah, it was a weird Nintendo actually getting a release
Yeah,
there.
an indie exclusive. Yeah.
But yeah, so what were your thoughts on Shovel Knight? Because I'm actually really curious about this game.
I bought Shovel Knight because people told me it was good. I actually don't like retro games at all.
And that's
So I don't-
exactly what this is.
Yeah, this is like the most retroiest retro game ever. But what I realized, like as I was playing it and enjoying myself, is like this isn't just a retro game. This is a really, really, really good retro game. And it just turns out that indie devs just weren't really good at making games. Yes, the other retro games I played just weren't nearly as good as this. The level design wasn't as good. This game really does feel like a game that's out of time, that is like an old SNES game. And it wears, oh my gosh, there's so many references to different other games and different games in it. It's like definitely something that is like a wink and a nod to the SNES era. And they like know there's plenty of bosses that are really similar to bosses like in Mega Man games or Castlevania games or Mario games or this or that. But yeah, I kind of bought this game on a chance because I didn't think I'd like it at all. Not that I didn't like it at all. I thought I'd like it for $10. Um, well, with the gift card, I had that gift card with my PS4, so I just bought it with that. But yeah, I think all the praise that this game gets is completely justified. One of the things I really like is the game sort of starts insinuating that this is actually a game in a series.
Like it just
The,
assumes like, yeah, there's gonna be more of this.
no, like no, it assumes like it's like the second or third game.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, because they talk about like your past expeditions and like past bad guys you might have fought and like these rivalries. So like you'll come upon a character who's like known you for like multiple. They make it clear that like, he's known you for a while, and like this is like the big rival battle. But you're like, no, this is like the first game in the series. But it really is like Shovel Knight 2, Shovel Knight 3, or Shovel Knight X or something like that. Which I thought was pretty cool because everybody knows like the Mega Man games, like the best ones are 2 and X and things like that.
Yeah.
It's really funny. It's really tongue in cheek. A lot of like how all the characters have this is weird. All the townsfolk have like interesting, funny things to say. Which I hate talking to townsfolk in JRPGs. But every townsfolk here has like says something. There's a guy who's grumpy, and so he says, "Oh, I'm so mad at life." And the only two things you can say to him are or hmm. And then when you pick on one of those, he tells a joke like from the universe. Like he'll make a joke about a boss that's just really bad, or like an area of the game. I can't think of one. He's like, "Oh, why does Shovel Knight do this? Because this." And the guy's like, "That's a terrible joke." And then he's like, "Yeah, I don't know. There's just so many good things. Oh, this game looks really good." When I think retro games, I'm kind of like, "Oh, okay, you guys can have like crappy pixel art and the."
Yeah.
But this game on an HD screen looks gorgeous. It's so colorful. The pixels are like because the pixels are so big, they're really nice and sharp. So I feel like when I play like pixel games on CRT TV when I was a kid, they're sort of like it's all kind of like blurred over, so you couldn't really see the pixels that well. But on this one, because the pixels are so sharp, everything just pops so well. The animation's really good. The animation's probably a little bit better than they could have done on any SNES.
Well, hopefully.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they're trying to emulate. They're like obviously trying to emulate that style. Basically, what this game is what you thought those games looked like when you were a kid.
Oh man, this is
It's
so great looking, and oh, look how cool Mario looks now in Super Mario 3.
yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, so like it's basically your memory of those games, like what
That's
you
kind of
thought
cool.
they looked like. Yeah, and they don't look that good. The animation isn't that good. The bad guys aren't as scary and things like that. All the levels there's a world map which I wasn't expecting. The world map is like Super Mario World.
Really?
Yeah, where you sort of like move around, like pick what levels you want, so you can do the levels out of order if you
Huh.
want. There's mobs that sort of kind of run around. Do you know, like in I think in Super Mario Brothers 3, there would be like a Hammer Brothers boss
Oh, like
battle.
in the way, and he would move every time you pick a level.
Yeah. So they have a bunch of those, but they're boss battles, like they're legit boss battles with maybe 4 or 5 characters that aren't in the story or anything
Huh.
like that, and they're just a good boss battle.
That's cool.
Yeah, so total this game has like, I don't know, maybe 15 different boss battles. All of them
Huh.
are really, really unique. They all require like pretty specific timing and everyone has a different move set. So you're never playing the same boss twice. Well, yeah, I mean you do. There's actually a boss rush at the end, which
Ugh.
like that's not really a spoiler, but their excuse for having the boss rush is so good. I feel like most games are just like, here's the boss rush, and that's it. And there's like no story aspect to
Yeah,
it.
we're like, we resurrected all of your most dangerous foes.
Yeah, but the excuse this game has for having a boss rush is amazing. I don't want to spoil it, but it's really good. Yeah, I don't know. Do you have any questions for me about it? Like, is there anything that you're curious? I don't know. Are you curious? Like, what are you curious about?
So
Like,
the one thing that I was gonna ask you is, what is like, how does this game play? Because you've mentioned like JRPG message. Yeah, wow. that was bad. You
Castlevania.
mentioned Castlevania. You mentioned Super Mario. What does the game actually play like? Because those are three very distinctly different games.
Okay, so there's a town aspect that's similar to JRPGs where you talk in town, you can like upgrade your weapons and things like that. And that's about all the similarities it has with JRPGs, except it actually has characters and a story and things like that. It plays. Oh, I don't know what it plays like. It's its own thing.
Because like, is it like a Metroidvania style game, like in like Castlevania, or is it more like
No.
Mario, where it's just kind of jump and get through the level?
It's jump and get through the level.
Okay.
But the it's a slower pace than Mario. It's a faster pace than Mega Man. You only have you have like a melee attack that just like kind of hits like right in front of you, but you also get weapons that kind of shoot like Mega Man's blaster.
Huh.
So it's kind of like a mix of all these different games, but it's definitely a platformer. It's an action platformer. There we go.
Fancy.
That's what it is. It's an action platformer. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that you get a bunch of cool little tools as the game goes on, and all of them are useful, which I thought was kind of surprising because you never expect like every item to be useful
No,
in
that
your
never
group.
happens.
Yeah, no, it never happens. And they usually have like a specific if it's something that changes movement, they usually has like a specific level just for using that item. That's really fun and kind of
Yep.
hard. I just want more Shovel Knight. Like after playing this, I was like, oh my god, they better do Shovel Knight X or like whatever the Super Nintendo
Yeah.
version of this series is. Yeah, no, it was really good, and it's a fun platformer. And it's really really well made. It's kind of hard though. I tried to play this as like my cooldown to Bloodborne.
Didn't work out so
That
well.
was a bad idea. Although it's not as frustrating as Mega Man. Like I feel like Mega Man is immediately hard. This game doesn't really get difficult until like maybe halfway through.
It at least has a nice curve to it.
Yeah, very very nice learning curve. Yeah,
Nice.
go play Shovel Knight. Brad, go play Shovel Knight.
I will go play Shovel Knight as soon as it goes on sale.
Oh man, there's a rumor. This is not in our thing at all, but there's a rumor that's going to be on PS Plus like this month. I'll be a little mad
See,
if
that's
that happens.
and I'll be very happy, but that's really kind of just terrible. Like you can't do
Yeah.
that a week after release, especially a game like this where people are waiting for it.
Yeah, I can't imagine. We'll see. Well, I guess we'll talk next week when they announce the list. I'll be mad if Shovel Knight's on there.
There goes
Be
$10.
really mad. Yeah.
All right, so moving to some other news. So PS Plus is next week, so we'll of course talk about all those next week. But
hmm
a couple new game announcements, kind of, and just some other kind of crazy stuff. Some things kind of
Yeah.
cool, some things really
Horrible.
not good. But we'll start out with, I don't know, I guess this is good news. Marvel and Telltale are making a game. So,
That's about it.
it's happening. That's a thing. And it's coming in 2 years. And that for some reason needed to be announced now.
Yeah. I don't know what the point of that announcement was.
Yeah.
I don't even think Game of Thrones was announced this early. I think Game of Thrones came out within a year,
Yeah.
maybe.
I think this is for sure the longest lead-in they've ever had. But I mean, who knows what that's going to be, but, it's happening, and people love Marvel stuff. Well, I love Marvel stuff. Avengers comes out next week. Yay.
Yeah. What do you feel about a superhero game where you don't shoot things?
Well, that's the other thing I'm curious about is, like, this doesn't fit. I mean,
No.
if you think of everything else, Walking Dead has a huge, like, just character development point. In Game of Thrones, there's so much, like, political stuff going on.
Yeah.
And everything else they've done doesn't have... I mean, if you watch a Marvel movie, there is not a whole lot of in-depth dialogue going on. It's a lot of,
No.
oh man, they're trying to blow this up. We're going to blow them up first.
Yeah.
So, I'm curious to see how they adapt to Telltale, because they'll need to do some changing with it. Granted, there are some slower-paced comics and stuff, but who knows if this is supposed to be Marvel Cinematic Universe, Comic Universe...
That's what I was thinking. I thought with like the right property, this would be pretty cool. But like, if this is an Avengers Telltale game,
Nope.
I'm not gonna care. I
No,
don't know.
that's-
I don't care. And I don't think it's gonna be a small enough one that like because it's also a Marvel game, so they're not gonna do like some small obscure comic.
Yeah.
They're gonna want to do whatever the big like an Iron Man one. It's like play as Iron Man, but choose to shoot. It's like I don't want to choose. I just want to pew pew and
Yeah.
ugh.
I want Marvel Ultimate Alliance. Marvel Ultimate Alliance, announce that instead.
That's what. Yeah, exactly. Or like it's Marvel Ultimate Alliance 4. I guess nobody really played. I think it might actually be 4.
No, it's 2. Or no,
That's
there
right.
are 2. It'll be 3.
Okay.
I love those games. It's 3.
Yeah, why not just announce something like that? I don't know, or like I don't know. Just a Telltale game feels weird,
Yeah.
especially if it's with any property that like most people. If it's like Hellraiser or something,
Oh yeah, that
oh,
would.
that's DC. That's DC though, isn't it?
Yes, Hellraiser's DC.
Shit. I don't know. What the
Yeah,
hell are they
there's
doing?
got to be something. I don't know. Marvel hasn't screwed up lately between movies and Netflix
That's true.
shows and everything else, so
That's
who
true.
knows? But you mentioned DC. So speaking of DC, yes, segues. There were some new Arkham trailers. Well,
Sort
almost
of.
trailers.
Yeah.
Trailers announcing a trailer, which is always cool. So I think
Hmm.
there were 3 of them, right? And it started.
Yeah.
It was like the 3 days from now the trailer will re-release trailer, and then 2 days from now, and then 1 day from now. So the
Hmm.
actual trailer comes out tomorrow, Monday the 27th. So we obviously haven't seen that, but what we have seen is that they're introducing some new characters to Arkham. Well,
Kinda. Yeah.
kinda. Catwoman was in one of them before.
Well, yeah. Two. Okay. To be fair, two of the three are returning characters.
Yeah, but this is the first time we've seen anything about him for Arkham Knight. So
Hmm.
yeah, what are your thoughts about that? I know you're a huge Arkham fan. Do you like the idea of having more Batman universe characters in there, or do you want it just to be Batman? Or do you give a
Okay,
crap at all?
to be fair, no. Batman's just like the most boring person in the Batman universe, which sounds terrible.
I disagree.
But I don't know. I think his rogues gallery is just like far more interesting than him. It's like I think Batman's like I don't know. I just feel like the dead parent thing's gone on a little too long. Like he's been. I kind of feel like he's just been sort of the same character. While like character like say like Nightwing was one of them. Nightwing is a character that you see grow. Like he was Robin. He was like in the circus, and then he was Robin, and then he grew up and decided not to be Robin anymore, and then became Nightwing. And now he's like a Batman bro who kind of helps him occasionally, but he's still like bitter that his like childhood was ruined by Batman.
I guess
And
that makes sense.
yeah, and I just feel like I know. And then Batman is his parents are dead. And he doesn't kill people. Like we know who Batman is, and he doesn't really change as it goes along.
I mean, he changes to a.
But I don't read the comics a lot, so maybe he has like changed
Okay.
drastically. But
Yeah.
I feel like
I feel like that'd be a necessary thing to put up front there.
yeah, yeah. But I just feel like I know what Batman is. And I guess people do know who Nightwing is, and I'm going to pronounce this guy's wrong. Azazel or
Azrael? I don't. There's an
Azrael?
R in there that you didn't put on the outline.
Yeah.
Yeah, he actually takes over for Batman for a while. He's actually kind of well. There's of course because it's comics. There's like 6 different versions of him.
Hmm.
The only one I'm familiar with though is during the Nightfall arc, which is I believe in the mid '90s, which is when Batman got his back broken by Bane. He actually takes
Oh,
over for Batman and is Batman for a year.
doesn't he kill people? Isn't that like his thing? Like he's
I
like a
believe so. Yeah, that might have been somebody else. I don't know. I'm not super up on Batman, but I know somebody else took over as Batman, and I think it was him when Batman actually died in the mid 2000s. I think that was
yeah.
him that took over and actually killed people, but I don't remember.
Okay. Yeah, I know he's like a religious fanatic. He's like he thinks he's like part of the Knights Order or something. I don't really know. I know I'm like when it was really funny though. The thing I did like I like. So in the countdown for the trailers, the first countdown was Azrael,
Yep.
and what they did they showed him like you just saw his feet and a little cape, and everyone's like, oh, it's Azrael. It's definitely Azrael. And from that point, I think they actually changed day 2 and 3 just to show the faces because like people are gonna know who these characters are. We
Yeah.
might as well just show their
Yeah.
faces.
That is weird because I actually watched them backwards somewhere or another. I don't know how that ended up happening, but I was not aware of these until a little bit ago. So I actually watched Catwoman, then Nightwing, then him, and it went face, and it's like, well, why are you just showing his boots? Like,
Yeah, and then like the website sort of like the website has this sort of like rogues gallery thing where you can sit there and see like the bios of the characters that
yep,
are in the game, and they showed a full body shot of all these characters like before the trailers even came out. So they're like, F it, they'll see who the faces are, they'll see online. This is like for people who are online and read about games online.
yeah,
So yeah, F it, we'll just show them who they are.
yeah. And Robin was on that website as well, so he
Yeah.
didn't get his own exclusive trailer, but and it's Tim Drake Robin. So
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Well, because Dick Grayson's Nightwing.
Oh, yep, you're right. You're right.
So,
I don't know. There's like, is there 3? There's so many Robins. I don't even.
4?
Yeah, and Damian Wayne. I don't think
Yep.
Damian's in this universe.
Well, he's also like comes way after Tim Drake and Dick Grayson. So,
See, I don't know.
well, the Robin. There's never more than one Robin. They go in order.
Oh, okay. Tim Drake looks like 25 in this. I figured he's like almost done being Robin soon.
Well, he becomes Red Robin.
God dang it. I'll just have to take your word for it. Okay, sure. Why not?
Yeah, see, and yeah. So anyway, new Arkham game. Of course, all the models look really good.
Oh yeah. Oh man, this game looks a lot better than Arkham City.
Oh yeah. Well,
I am a little
technically we'd have to go with Arkham Origins because that was the most recent one, but
Arkham City looked better than Arkham Origins.
That's so true. All right, so moving on to other new things here in a series. Call of Duty Black Ops 3, their official reveal trailer was this week. So it was announced, I think, last week, kind of through that weird QR code thing when we were talking about game announcements. But there's a full trailer out now, and some people out there got some time with it, I think, got to play a little bit of it.
Yeah.
But yeah. What were your thoughts about Black Ops 3?
Okay, do you remember how I said Shin Megami X Fire Emblem was a hot mess?
Yeah.
This is like a Western version of that. Like, this has just looked like a blender of a bunch of different things I've seen before. They're like, oh, you know the thing from BioShock? We're going to take that. You know, like the bees? Okay, we're just going to say they're nano bees this time. And we're going to have that. Okay, you know that gun that Mega Man has? Okay, the gun that guy has in Deus Ex? We're going to use that. You know, just take most of the stuff from Deus Ex. You know that thing that was in not District 9? What's the Elysium? That robot thing? Okay, let's take that. Oh, do you remember MechWarrior? MechWarrior was pretty cool. We'll take some of that stuff too. Yeah, this game just looks like a bunch of other things. Titanfall. Man, you guys played Titanfall, right? Titanfall is super cool.
The trailer did look a lot like Titanfall.
Oh my god, that looks exactly... Yeah. So we're just going to take Deus Ex, we're going to take Titanfall, MechWarrior, pretty much anything that's anything to... Let's Google Cyberpunk, whatever shows up, just take it. I don't know what this game is about. This game just feels like a ton of different games. It doesn't... I mean, it might be Call of Duty somewhere in there, but it just looked like Titanfall. It doesn't even look as good as Advanced Warfare. I'm sour on this game.
Which is really interesting, because I watched this trailer and went, if this said anything other than Call of Duty at the end, I might have been interested. Like, that was my feeling when I finished this trailer was, okay, it looks like Deus Ex. Yes, it does. It looks almost identical to Deus Ex, and that was my thought halfway through is, this could be action Deus Ex, and nobody would have an issue with that.
Mm-hmm.
But after watching it, like, at the end, I was like, I'm actually kind of curious about this. Like, if this didn't start with the words Call of Duty, and they just came up with some other, like, stupid name for it, I would have probably watched that trailer in a whole different way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, honestly, if this was like, I guess what you're saying is, because if this was like Titanfall 2, I'd be like, ooh, Titanfall looks kind of cool. Make it Titanfall.
Exactly. Or even if it was just like a new original series that had no connections to anything else. I would have watched that trailer and went, okay, they borrowed a lot of stuff, but it looks pretty good. It looks like they're implementing it well. It looks like they're trying to, change some stuff up.
Yeah.
So I watched this trailer with a huge bias because, I mean, I don't care about Call of Duty. No. And at the end, I was like, okay, I'm actually curious in this one. Like, not for, like, Advanced Warfare, I was curious because it had Kevin Spacey in it, and that was about it. This one actually has me curious for gameplay and story. Like, what are you going to do with this now? So, I don't know.
Yeah. That's funny. That's funny that you liked it. I don't know. It's just like everything to me about this game just like screamed others. Like, I don't know. It just felt like, like during the PS2 era, when there'd be a game that really, there's like two games that be released really close together, and they both look really, really similar to each other.
Yep.
It feels kind of like that. I actually am like legitimately curious what the Titanfall devs are thinking, because I'm sure they're working on their single player campaign for it.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, well, shit. I mean, they're doing a single player. What do we do now? Actually, really, really funny, because we talked about how much this looks like Deus Ex. I think everybody that trailer they released, that teaser trailer, was Deus Ex.
Yeah.
Like, they're like, in the year 2000, whatever, people start using
body augmentations and.
Yeah, and like they did the whole setup, because I think even Deus Ex did some live action stuff too, where they set this like false history thing. So it felt very much like that. Actually, the Deus Ex, I don't know if you saw this on Twitter, like commented on it.
Really?
Yeah. They sent them a picture of a cat like looking at the screen and then like looking at them. But the cat has like Deus Ex stuff on them. And I was like, man, this game. I don't know what the hell they're doing, because Deus Ex was just announced recently.
Yeah.
And it's a bummer this game's going to sell way more than Deus Ex.
Oh, I mean, it is, because I'm sure. Yeah. The thing is, it got me actually curious in a Call of Duty for the first time in a decade? I don't know how long it's been around. A long time.
This made me kind of actually want to play Advanced Warfare more than anything.
Why?
Because I thought I was like, this game doesn't look as good as Advanced Warfare. I should probably try Advanced Warfare. That was my reaction to it. I was like, people said Advanced Warfare was good. This game looks all right, but I don't know, Advanced. But actually, the game, like Advanced Warfare, like legitimately just looks better. Like if you look at screenshots of these two side by side, this game does not look as good as that.
Which is weird because
or year-old game.
I mean, this was like supposed to be like a big thing. Like I know they actually gave Treyarch like a 3-year development cycle on this, which is
really?
I mean, Activision doesn't let you do that.
Treyarch's like, wait, we get more than a year, more than 8 months? Shit, we usually have to fight for like 10 months.
Yeah, so I guess apparently this is all Treyarch's been working on since Black Ops 2, I think, or whatever.
Oh, really?
It was because I think Ghost was by a third studio that I don't even remember. I don't think anybody cares enough about Ghost to know who that was. But then Advanced Warfare was whichever the other one was, and then this is the first one back with Treyarch. So I think
I didn't think about that.
So yeah, so this is like actually at a 3-year development cycle, which also makes me interested because it's like, oh, they didn't just slap this thing together.
Yeah, it might be. It might be good. I'm a little worried though that the story's gonna be like way too intense. It just looks like man is a weapon. I was like, oh, this is gonna have some really gross shit in it, isn't it?
Yeah. You're going to end up being the Terminator by the end of it.
Real quick, I just looked at a screenshot of this as we were talking. Like, there's dismemberment in this.
Oh, of course.
I didn't know that. Do the Black Ops games have dismemberment in it?
I have no idea. They have the zombie thing, so probably.
Oh, I guess that's true. But, I mean, like, I don't think I've ever seen a Call of Duty like this gross before. But, yeah, it's like people getting their arms blown off, people losing legs, losing heads. I'm like, oh, shit. And then back in my helmet.
God.
Yeah, I did send Brad a picture. Here, Brad, why don't you look at this one too? But yeah, this looks like some Soldier of Fortune shit.
Yeah, this does not look like Call of Duty to me.
No.
Well,
and that's why I think it's like this game's gonna be like super hardcore. But I think it's like now I'm just thinking it's like crap. There's gonna be a bunch of 12-year-olds playing this game. God dang it.
Yeah, I don't know. I still probably won't play it, but it actually makes me curious. So that's something. This is the part where we start getting into more depressing, sad news or just bad news. But
yeah.
I'm not a big PC person at all. I don't even have Steam installed on my computer, so everybody can hate me for that. But Steam is now charging for Skyrim mods.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
It's super. My first impression is that it's really, really shitty of Valve to do this. Really shitty.
Which it seems like to be the way Valve's going lately.
Yeah. The thing that's super weird about this is that it's Valve doing this because Valve was the reason, like, I would not say the only reason, but one of the reasons Valve is where it is because of modding. Counter-Strike is what made people buy Half-Life.
Oh yeah.
Like, Counter-Strike was a free mod forever, and then Counter-Strike Source was like the first time because that's when they actually got they hired some people on and started actually making a game to sell. And then there's a ton, like Half-Life 1, like so much of that game was based on mods. Like PC Gamer would so you get your demo disc would have like there's an official PC Gamer mod for Half-Life 1.
That really doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, but like that's what I'm saying. Like this, like mods are such a huge part of Valve's history. For them to do this is so shitty. The shittiest part, I keep saying shitty. I don't usually like to swear on the podcast, but this is shitty. Like 25% actually goes to the modders, and 75% goes to Valve and Bethesda. I don't know what Valve and Bethesda's cut is. I don't know if they've announced that. They might have. But yeah, this is bullshit. This is really this is some serious bullshit.
Well, and I think you can get over selling this too as, oh, well, we're supporting just these guys who are creating and putting all this time into it. And it's like, no, you're not. You're giving them a 25% cut. Switch that cut around, and then maybe you could claim that.
Yeah, no, exactly. And like a lot of the modding communities come out and said like, you guys, it's like, no, we don't want this. Like a lot of the new people in the mod community, like, oh wait, I can get paid for this shit. But I mean, like a lot of the mod stuff was that was a hobbyist thing.
Yeah,
a lot of people and like a lot of people made mods to eventually get jobs at companies. One of the better Half-Life 2 mods. Oh crap, what's it called? Minerva. That guy got hired by Valve. A guy just made a really large Skyrim mod recently, and he got hired by the Borderlands Gearbox. So a lot of people see this as like a thing to do their resume and just get some notoriety within the community. Like this is not a thing to make money. And actually, speaking of making money, these guys had like donate buttons on their site, so you could donate to these guys if you wanted to.
So I mean, at this point, like even if you want that, like Kickstarter and all that other stuff are so popular that if these guys actually want to make money off it, they could. It's a quick, easy way to do that and still put up this content for free. Has been free for decades.
Yeah, I mean, modding made PC gaming like what it is, and for them to do this, like to just mess with it, like it was, and it's kind of a tight knit community, especially now because not everybody can make a mod. It actually takes a lot of time and much more time and work now than it did during the Half-Life 1 era.
Yeah.
So it's really weird they do this, and actually it's really crazy. The first game they did this with was Skyrim, and the largest mod database site is called Nexus for Skyrim specifically. Didn't know about it. Like these, like these are the guys that like made that. They made mods for Skyrim. Like this whole website was like this is where you got your Skyrim mod from. They have some of the more popular ones, and they didn't know about this. So it's like think about that. Like the modding community isn't even in on this plan that whatever Valve has.
Well, my question is, are they charging just on Steam, or is this like what if because a lot of these are just hosted, I'm sure, on like third parties and stuff. Like, couldn't you just still put your mod up and have people download it?
Oh, that's actually a good question. I don't remember the answer to that. But like the Nexus guys, the guys who did Nexus, who like I said, do the Skyrim mods, like they were asking Valve, like, does this now mean that they now have like Steam DRM?
Yeah. Like, can you still just put this up on Nexus and just put it hosted on your own website and then just distribute it that way? Or are they still going to take a cut even that way? Or are they going to expect something from it?
Yeah, I don't know if people know. I assume that they're going to let you do that. But even so, like people are just going to be, well, the money's just going to be too good. And like hell, it's not like you can charge them for like being able to play as Goku. Like that's not legal.
Like, yeah, exactly. Like that's a good point when you get into some of those games where it's like, oh yeah, we just made a skin of this, so you can look like Iron Man while you're playing this game, or now you can fight whatever. Yeah. Like nobody's gonna let you. You can't charge. Yeah, what are you gonna do with that stuff?
Yeah, and like a lot of the point of like the modding community is like we can get away with stuff because we're free. So like you can make like a really good Dragon Ball Z game for Half-Life 2. Well, I don't know if it's really good. It was okay. But you can do that because it's free and it's just like a fan thing. And then maybe if you're trying to apply for a job, like you can say, hey, I made this cool Dragon Ball Z mod. Here you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, my initial impression, I hope this will get ironed out soon. My initial impression was like, this was really, really shitty. And it was obviously done without the modding community, which is even more surprising because a lot of the modding community was just like, wait, what?
Well, especially, again, like you said, where Valve came from, they should have known how this was going to go over. They hire in people from this community, and I don't understand how they could have gone through this whole plan without having any thought of people being upset about this.
Yeah, I think everybody's, especially people who would even play mods. Like these are hardcore PC gamers. Like they're gonna be pissed.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think it's shitty. I would like to do an update maybe in the next few episodes about this because this just is some serious bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm mad. I don't even play PC games anymore, and I'm mad about it.
When was the last time you downloaded a mod? Now that you've gone on your little rant.
High school? Half-Life 2. I was really big into Half-Life 2 mods.
That makes sense. Like, so was everyone.
Yeah. Played a lot of Half-Life 2 mods.
Alright, so, last bit of terrible, depressing news that goes along with Konami and Metal Gear,
mad about
Kojima, and everything else that's happened here.
Mad about this.
Silent Hills is basically dead. It's pretty much canceled at this point. Yeah, so we'll all have a little cry here. So, go ahead.
I'm going to say fucking mad. I'm so fucking mad. Oh my god.
So, for those of you without background, Doug loves Silent Hill.
I love Silent Hill. Well, I'll say the PS2 series, the PS1 and PS2 series. Oh my god. Okay. I can't even fathom. I don't know what's going through Konami's. This all obviously goes back to whatever was going on with Kojima and Konami.
Yep.
Where Kojima's no longer working for them, so Konami's just giving the huge finger and saying, okay, well, you're not going to work on anything anymore. First, few reasons why this is stupid. Well, okay, first reason is that on my freaking Facebook page where nobody talks about games, this thing is trending on Facebook.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
Twitter, I guess, is like where people can sort of like be nerdy and nichey and things like that. So it's like, okay, it's on Twitter, that makes sense. This is just below like that earthquake that happened, like, which is really terrible and it speaks volumes about our society today.
But when you think about, like, when you put in the dude from The Walking Dead, whose name I can't remember,
That's true.
and you put in Guillermo del Toro, and like you're pulling on like 3 or 4 giant audiences with this game. So
That's true. That's true. I didn't think about and I just think the craziest thing about all of this is I can't tell you how much goodwill they had with PT.
Oh yeah.
PT fucking blew everybody away. That was crazy.
And the fact that like this game was gonna sell, even if this wasn't Silent Hills, whatever was connected to PT was gonna sell like crazy.
Oh yeah.
And then you add in the Walking Dead guy, Guillermo del Toro, Kojima, and it's a Silent Hill game. This game would have sold like crazy.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell they were. I don't know what the hell they were thinking. And honestly, I'm just like, I'm mad about it just because, like, I mean, sometimes announced games get canceled.
Yeah.
But just the way they were talking about this game, like everybody just seemed really, really passionate about this game. Like that PT teaser, like that to me showed like that was such a weird thing. It was such a weird, obtuse thing for marketing a game that it was obviously like they cared enough about this game to do something weird. Like we're gonna take chances with this game. We're gonna create. I don't know how long that thing took. I mean, just making it feel like, oh, it's just a hallway. But I mean, that still took a lot of time to do all that scripting to make that. I mean, it looked great. It was like photorealistic almost. So I mean, this thing took a long time to make, and it looked like they were just like getting ready to go. Like they got Guillermo del Toro and everybody on board, and I just feel like they're throwing that all away. Like I think Konami is like preparing to close its doors. Like that was the last thing that people have been saying. It's like, oh, we got to boycott Konami. Boycotting stuff is stupid.
Yeah. Well, and at this point, what they have Phantom Pain, and then
that's it. Like, there's like nothing. It's like, what are you going to boycott? Like, what is Konami? Like, Lord of the Shadows. Like, that's it. That series is done because the Lord of the Shadows 2 got screwed up. That actually wasn't Konami's fault. That was Mercury Steam's fault.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't know. You know what? I knew this was coming.
as soon as that whole thing broke down, you knew something. There were pretty much 2 options. This was either getting canceled or it was going to be made by not Kojima and be nowhere near what PT was.
Yeah. Actually, to be clear, the official announcement is that Guillermo del Toro is no longer working on a Silent Hills collaboration with Kojima. That does not mean that there won't be a Silent Hills. That just means that the 2 people who are actually interesting and things that would bring you to the project are no longer a part of it.
The 2 people who didn't make the last like 6 Silent Hill games that nobody cared about, that were going to change this and bring it back to where it was, they're gone. And now it's just the guys who made the last 6 that nobody cared about. Yeah,
and you kind of felt too, because Kojima was doing this, like I honestly feel like this could have been like they could have brought back Team Silent, which is the guys who did like the 2, 3, and 4. Like this, they could have. I feel like they were really gearing up to like, okay, guys, this is going to be the first real Silent Hill that we've had in a long time, and it's going to have a budget. Which is cool.
Yeah. It sucks, and whatever's going to come out of it, whether it's an actual game or if it's straight up canceled, is just either way, it's not going to be the amazing thing that we were all promised a year ago at E3. And I don't know, and PT, they're taking that down too, so even that.
I forgot about that. Yeah, that's also part of it. Yeah, April 29th, which is like 2 days from 3 days from now.
It'll be, I think, this week Thursday, I believe. So if you have not gotten that, if you haven't tried that, at least download and try it. Because if you're not upset about this, if you play that, you will be upset about this. Because man, was that cool.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like Konami successfully got like the whole internet to hate them, though. Like I said, this thing showed up on Facebook. Like that blew my mind. I was like, what the hell? Like they got a lot of new fans to Silent Hill. Mm-hmm. That's what I was like the most shocked. I was like, man, there's people who've never played a Silent Hill game who are excited for this game.
Exactly, because you brought in so many pieces and you did that unique thing with PT. You have Guillermo del Toro, who has, I mean, if anything says Guillermo del Toro, there's an entire community that's gonna go buy that like crazy. You've got Kojima, who's got nothing but respect from everybody in the gaming community, pretty much. You've got, a celebrity actor in it. Everything about this screams like we're going to get this series going. We're going to get it going on a good pace. We're going to get this back to what it once was.
Yeah.
And never mind.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
I don't. Yeah, yeah. I honestly like. I don't give a shit whatever game comes out of this. I mean, maybe it'll get some small developer who is like super passionate about the series and things like that. Maybe it'll be good, but I mean, given like literally the last Silent Hill game that came out was a top-down action RPG.
Yeah.
I
It's not going to be good, whatever happens after
no,
this.
it's not. It maybe I don't know. I feel like Konami, like there's gonna be news like Konami is now a blank company, like a mobile,
Or
casino.
or something weird.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or maybe this is just this year's version of PT.
God damn it, it's
And
not.
they're just coming out and saying all of this stuff to really get people talking about it, and this is their unique marketing push this year. And E3 is going to happen, and Guillermo del Toro is going to walk on a stage with Kojima, and they're just going to have a picture of Silent Hills behind him. They're going to be like, it's coming out tomorrow. And that's what's going to happen at E3.
I just want to say, this is going to be mean, because I like our listening audience. We really do appreciate every view we get. But if you seriously think that tanking a company is a marketing scheme, you are so off base with reality. It is amazing.
But look how well PT worked for him.
God
And
damn
nobody
it,
would have
it's
thought
not
that would have worked.
PT.
So you never know. Anyway, with that note, that'll wrap up this episode.
Great way to end. I'm so mad.
I'm just saying, it's PT all over again. E3's
And then there's a crappy looking Adventure Time game. God, this week sucks.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that. Doug loves Adventure Time. There's some Adventure Time game. I don't know what it was, but it just looked bad.
Yeah,
Anyway.
That's about all we can say about it. What a shit week.
Before
mad.
Doug completely goes crazy here, this is episode 10. We made it to double digits. That's pretty impressive.
That's cool.
Not bad at all. So thank you all for listening to the past 10 episodes, or 2 episodes, or if this is your first episode, thank you for listening to that as well. Regardless of whether you've listened to double digits or not, we've made double digits, which is pretty cool. So anyway, follow us on Twitter, Darksliders _pod.
Darksliders _pod. Yep.
Cool, there it is, yep. Of course, wherever you're listening to this at, there will be more next week, and hopefully we'll get back to those shorts things that we mentioned last week, with probably Mortal Kombat or something else thrown in there, but hopefully look for that this week. Hopefully that actually happens. Thank you all for listening. We will see you next week.
Bye.